What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Action Network podcast presented by DraftKings. I am your host, Evan Abrams, and I am joined by the one, the only, the man himself, Brandon Anderson, BA, for our NFL recap show. We will discuss everything we saw today. We'll even go back and talk some Thursday, some Saturday, but very briefly in the sense of playoffs, percentages, what we should be looking forward to over the last 2 weeks of the regular season. We will also talk about Monday Night Football, give out some picks. Plus, we will get Brandon's hot read picks, all sorts of different fun bonus stuff in this show. I'll tell you right off the bat right now, we are not going to do a Best Bets episode this coming week on Thursday with the holiday. So we are going to give you as much in this episode as possible. I'm just going to start with a stat, and usually I'm looking a little backwards when it comes to this stat, but today I kind of want to look forwards because I feel like this whole show is a little looking forwards, and that's kind of the spirit of what we're doing here with just 2 weeks ago in the regular season. So something that here at the Action Network I've wrote about for at least 5-6 years now is trying to fade teams who need to win this time of year against teams who are eliminated. So historically it's been profitable to do that last 2 weeks of regular season. So since 1990, eliminated teams playing teams that need to win to get into the playoffs over the final 2 weeks of the regular season are 108, 69, and 4, 61%. I just did some quick math. I believe those three matches would be Minnesota against the Lions, the Browns against the Steelers, and the Dolphins against the Bucks in terms of teams that need to win to try to get in. The other angle I will give you is, and this one's actually pretty crazy, Brandon, because this one's strictly from Bet Labs, and I have this system saved. So teams with a win percentage between 40 and 60% in week 16 or later, basically fighting their butt off to get into the playoffs, are an incredible 27, 77, and 4 against the spread, 26%. Against teams with an 8 to 25% worse win percentage. So basically, those teams, like the other stat I just gave you, need to win at this time of year. They're failing to cover by 4.1 points per game. This is dating back to 2007. At this current moment, I believe that team is only Dallas, which eliminated as well, but fits this system. So I will have all this stuff in my primer. It'll be live, hopefully, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whatever it is on Tuesday. So tune in for that. But I'll leave it to you, Brandon. Before we get into Sunday Night Football, what else do you think about based off of everything you saw today, yesterday, and Thursday?
Yeah, those stats that you gave, I've got some of those same trends I was looking at these last couple of weeks, especially. I don't know, normally it's tough now because we just switched to the 18 games. So I have those trends as week 16 forward. I don't know yet if they really count for week 16, which is now irrelevant because we're wrapping that up with the show, obviously. But yeah, similar trends. And it's interesting. It's kind of a double whammy, I think, because the teams that are supposed to win, the teams that need to win, they're getting taxed. That's what's happening. They're adding in extra points that they're forcing us as bettors to have to pay the tax because we're thinking, well, they're not going to blow this one. They got to win that one. But here's the problem. Not only is that messing the lineup and adding tax on, but psychologically, you're the team that can't blow this now. You have everything to lose. And you mentioned those teams, it's like the Browns against the Steelers. We'll see if that one even ends up mattering for them. But you have now become the Browns Super Bowl. The team that has nothing to play for has something to play for. And it's you. It's your scalp that they can knock out of the playoffs if they can. So it's like, maybe a triple whammy. You're adding incentive to the bad team. You are adding pressure to the good team, and then you're taxing the good team on top of that. So it's tough because you look at a team like Detroit and Minnesota, where you're like, man, Detroit has to win out now and get help or they're cooked. They have to do this. Bet them at any – what number? Oh, man, that's a little high on Christmas, but you got to take them. I know that's the feeling you have in your gut, but that is not what the trends tell us. So it's going to be tricky as we look at some of these. And we will I have notes throughout here that, as always, we're forward looking, like you said, but especially now, forward is very soon. So we will talk throughout on, as best as I can tell, and I'm sure you have notes too, what's the playoff scenario? Where's this team at? Are they in the 1 seed? Are they in the division? Are they alive? What do they have to do? So to me, all of those things, incentives, that matters as much as anything else when you're capping games and futures at this point going forward, because it's all adding in, and is it being baked into the line already? And now you're paying too much for it. And are there places where they can't quite price it in, but if X happens, Y changes later in the day or for week 18? And if I like this angle week 17, is there a different look ahead spot to play accordingly? So you kind of have to get creative and kind of chain together some domino reactions. And we can't do all those yet tonight because we're not even wrapped up with week 16. But hopefully some of the information can kind of set us up to be thinking that direction already. And your stats, I think, off the top is a great place to start.
Yeah, that's why I shrugged a little bit, because some of this stuff can change, and I just did that math really quickly. So it'll all be right in the primer. I will say this. Lions were -2.5 on the look ahead. They went to 3.5. They went to 4.5. They went to 5.5. Now it's 6. Kind of says exactly what we're talking about. All right, Sunday Night Football. New England wins the game, comes back 28-24, covers +3.5 on the road. Total over 47.5. I guess I'll only say this. The game started exactly how you wanted to start for Baltimore. A great first drive, a Henry first touchdown. And then from there, it seemed like everything just kind of fell apart. And not only with the Henry fumble, I guess a possession or two later, but with the injury to Lamar. And then you had injuries all over the field. I mean, Travion Henderson got hurt. I believe Pop Douglas gets hurt in the game. Like this game was a walking dead, it turned it out to be. And obviously New England comes out on top, but even then, it's still 10-10 at the half, and it's almost anybody's game. The two stats that did continue from the first half, Ravens still now scored 10 points in the first half. First half team total was 13.5. So they're now 2-13 first half team total over this year, which seems almost impossible. And what's even more impossible, in 9 home games, they are 0-9 first half team total over. So not starting fast, one time at home all year. And then New England 12-3 first half ATS, tied, obviously an underdog in this game. I mean, Brandon, what else from the start of this game and kind of how it progressed can you take from this one?
Yeah, so we had the stat when we talked about this game going in. Mike Vrabel as a 3-point underdog or more, now 23-20 straight up in his career. Just a crazy number to be. You were not supposed to be above 500 straight up as a clear underdog as he was here. And this was a very Mike Vrabel game. Like we talk about, we're going to get to a very Mike Tomlin game also. We've seen this Vrabel game. We saw the comeback. We saw the grittiness of this team. We saw, down near the end, the Patriots take the lead. Ravens get the ball back. And as the Ravens are kind of like running sideways, holding the ball out, trying to do something fun, somebody comes from behind, I think Chase on, and knocks the ball out, and that's basically the game after that. So that's just such a Mike Vrabel team play to make, and I thought the announcers were capturing it well too. That like this is a win that team is going to love. This is who they think they are and what they're trying to be. I had noted about Travion Henderson leaving among other names. In the comments, I see Paul Rahani, hopefully I'm saying that right, talks about Offensive Rookie of the Year. I do think it is very open now. Henderson suddenly took the big lead last week. I don't know what his injury is, but it's a head injury. We don't know how bad it will be. Is it Tat McMillan now? Or like Paul is suggesting, is it a long shot? RJ Harvey had another pretty good game today and has a lot of touchdowns. Genty, out of the blue, suddenly 2 long touchdowns today. Maybe he's in the lead. Like it's definitely a race that we've got to keep an eye on. And there hasn't been a standout. Is it Cam Ward suddenly on a winning streak today right now? Is it Tyler Shuck? He's on a 3-game winning streak right now. Like, could he be the guy that comes through? So I think we definitely have to look at that market, see if you can find a long shot that you like. Obviously, coming out of this game tonight, the big story has to be Lamar Jackson and what happens with him and with the Ravens going forward. I believe now Baltimore is in the same spot as Detroit when we get to them. Got to win both games, and you need the Steelers to lose both games. So that means the Ravens Saturday night in Green Bay have to win a game where we don't even know if Lamar Jackson will be ready to go by then. And, well, we don't know if Jordan Love will be ready to go either. Correct. So we'll see with that one. But if they lose that game, the Steelers can beat the Browns on Sunday, clinch the division. And that Steelers-Ravens Week 18 we've been waiting for won't even matter. Like it's off. It's Steelers will rest because they'll just be waiting for the playoffs at that point. So Baltimore, they need, even if Baltimore wins, they now, I believe, need the Browns to win just to keep that Week 18 game alive for them. So that's not the spot you want to be, to lose control of your destiny. And I'm going to throw back to you with the question of, what does this all mean for the MVP race? We keep talking about it week after week. I, of course, am very invested in it because I've got the Stafford 51 before the season. I'm watching an early fourth quarter. Ravens are up by 2 touchdowns. Well, 2 scores at least. We're seeing like a plus 500 Drake May. Last I looked, back down to like plus 200. And I thought personally, this was a team win for the Patriots. Drake was good, but it was a team win. The defense made a couple plays. As pass catchers made plays. The running backs were good. Team win. Stafford was awesome on Thursday night, and we'll get there. He had a huge stat line. He put up big numbers on a great Seahawks defense. I thought that was a teammate's loss. I thought Stafford was the MVP, but his teammates lost the game, and the referees and all the weird, we'll get to it. But it would be tragic to me if these 2 results decide the MVP race. Well, Drake's team won, Stafford's team lost, so that's how it's got to go. That's so oversimplified from what we've seen. But both guys I thought were really good. What do you think? Where are we at on the MVP race to you?
I see like Stafford minus 200, Drake plus 175. So obviously he's very much still in the balance. I mean, Drake May threw for like 380 yards tonight, his first 300-yard game. He honestly played pretty well, especially second half, making the comeback. Again, I think the primetime thing helps when everyone watches your game and you have this type of comeback and you do play well. You have a great deep ball touchdown, like all sorts of things, kind of making his case for him at this point. And as well, Rams are on Monday Night Football next week against the Falcons inside of a dome in Atlanta. They're going to have another opportunity. So I think there's still more to be told here. But the one thing you do have to know is Josh is now 25-1. So this is a 2-horse race. It's pretty much over in terms of that. It's either Drake or Stafford at this point. It'd be shocking to kind of see anything else. And then to answer your other question, Tet McMillan is now minus 300 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Okay. So if you think it's anyone else, you're going to have some value. Shuck it like 450. Other than that, it is a long shot. So that's where the markets sit. I'll give you one stat here, and I tweeted this out. And this kind of is just what we see from Baltimore since 2020. This is the Ravens' 10th home loss when leading by over 1 possession, 9+ points. No other team has more than 6 such losses in that span. Now, obviously, you have to actually be up by that much to lose the game, which is a very, Ravens thing. So that's why most teams don't have that type of stat. But nonetheless, I think everyone's going to point to the fact that, Derrick Henry last touched the ball in this game when he scored the touchdown to go up 11 points and then basically didn't play again. So either he was gassed and that's a problem, or the issue is also where the heck was Derrick Henry from a coach's decision. So to me, that's kind of the storyline of the game as we head into Monday Night Football.
Yeah, well, hopefully all that extra time Derrick Henry was not on the field, that he's got a little saved up something for Saturday night, because they might need an extra dose of Derrick Henry in that one. And the Packers certainly can be run on. That was the whole story into the season, was the Packers are trading away their run defense a little bit to go after Micah Parsons. Well, now they don't have either one. So does that come full circle? You have kind of both teams in a little bit of a desperate position in that one. And I must say, I would have been real excited with my Rasheen Ali bets to have no Derrick Henry for so long, but it wasn't Rasheen Ali either. He got 1 catch and I barely even saw him on the field. So swinging a miss on that one. Not the right game script. We wanted Ravens to be behind. They're a much better front running team. And though they lost, they were the front runner most of the night. So that to me is like, obviously the Ravens are in danger, but that again should tell us, like, even the script went Baltimore's direction, other than obviously you lose your quarterback. That's not your direction. But if you have to play with Tyler Huntley, running the ball, playing with a lead, that's the way you want to play with him. And they still couldn't close it out, and they continue to not close out these games. And the Ravens fans are going to be asking a lot of questions. There was a lot of talk earlier in the year about John Harbaugh and the play callers and everything like that. Then they got a bunch of wins and it settled down. If this is kind of, we go out with a sputter at the end of the season here and miss the playoffs, I think there are going to be a lot of offseason questions for Baltimore.
Yeah, there was some roughing the passer calls, some pass interference calls. The refs were a little questionable in this one, but let's move on to another game where the refs were also a little bit questionable, maybe a lot questionable. Steelers, Lions. Steelers end up winning the game 29-24. Cover and win as plus 7.5 point dogs on the road, total over 52.5. I mean, to me, the Lions offense just felt off. There was miscues, timing the entire game, and it was probably more towards Pittsburgh's defense that was very disruptive. But Detroit didn't run the ball or couldn't all game. 12 carries for 15 yards, which is their lowest rushing total since 2016. Absolutely kind of incredible how the game progressed. When you think about Pittsburgh had more penalties for more yards, more turnovers, went 0-3 in the red zone, scored 3 points in the first 4 drives, and ends up winning the game. Obviously, on the goal line, a little craziness at the end there. But what do you take from Pittsburgh, Detroit?
Yeah, look, Detroit obviously is on the ropes at this point. Like, we know they're in a similar spot we just said. Detroit has to win out and Green Bay lose out. That's it. That's the only way the Lions get in. So we know that. We know they're on the ropes. If we didn't know that, I would still come in swinging like, man, this is the sign that the Lions season is not meant to be this game, because they got punked by the Steelers and they got out-physicaled and they get outrun by the Steelers. The whole Detroit identity, the whole Dan Campbell thing is we're going to beat you up, we're going to be physical, we're going to bite kneecaps, and we're going to win that way. And they lost that way today. They lost in the trenches. They ran all game, the Lions, 12 times for 15 yards. And that includes a 17-yard run. So they ran 11 times for negative yardage. They gave up. Jared Goff threw 54 times in this game. That is not what you want to do as the Lions, whatever the opponent is. And certainly with Pittsburgh's pass rushes coming after you. And that's not okay either, because TJ Watt and Nick Herbig are out in this game, and they still can't block the Steelers' pass rushers. They gave up on the run game, and they could not tackle. They could not stop the run. Jaylen Warren had a monster game. We're handing off to Jonnu Smith on sweeps for like consecutive first downs down the stretch. We're throwing screens to Darnell Washington, who just puts his arm Heisman out and just like runs right through guys for an easy first down. That was Pittsburgh looking Detroit in the eye and saying, you can't handle the fight. We're bringing the fight to you, and you cannot handle us right now. And look, Detroit almost came all the way back around, and we didn't even talk about the ending. The ending is wild. If you somehow missed it, I'm sure you must know by now. So the Lions, the Pittsburgh misses a field goal to go up 8. So they're only up 5, and we're all watching. I'm like, okay, this is cooked. Detroit's going to get the win. The Lions are good. They're going to go down. All they need is a touchdown. They don't even need extra point or anything. They get a touchdown, but the refs take it off. Offensive pass interference. We got the old the screen play. Seemed like the right call. So we get down to 4th down, basically last play. Honestly, would have been an incredible play. They pass it to Amon-Ra, who gets stuffed at the 1-yard line, but doesn't go down. And as he's falling, laterals the ball to Jared Goff, who takes like 2 steps and leaps diving into the end zone. That's like a save your season incredible play. The problem is Amon-Ra committed offensive pass interference, which again, I think was the right call, even though the referees took 7 years to come out and say it. The problem is if he just goes down, then they have to accept the penalty, and the Lions at least get one more play because there's like 2 seconds left. But because he lateraled, Jared Goff scores, runs the time off, and now there's an offensive penalty with no time on the clock. That's it. The game is over. So ironically, this amazing play by Amon-Ra and Goff ends up costing them at least one more play chance to be able to do it. But this was a Mike Tomlin rah-rah type game. I said before that it was not that spot, and then everything just felt that way. Like, we got a Kenneth Gainwell basically Hail Mary into halftime where they threw it down the field and it like bounces off the defender and he tracks it, lands on him when he sticks his arm out, and then nobody touches him and he gets up and runs in. Like, I guess that's the Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary now. He can't quite get it to the end zone anymore at his age, so we got to have a little extra mystery to it. We got Pittsburgh safety, Jared Goff, just taking a safety back there. 54 dropbacks, not the way that you want to go. I guess more
Crazy.
than 54 dropbacks. That's passes. So just a mess. Steelers, 481 yards in this game, 120 more than the Lions, almost 7 yards a play. That's inexcusable for the Lions. Your defense got crushed by Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, who, by the way, probably should not have had DK Metcalf on the field. You're out here punching dudes in the stands mid-game. We'll see if he gets to play again like this season at all. I don't know what you do with that, but this to me was Detroit. They were the team getting punched. They got punched in the face by the entirety of the team, not just DK Metcalf. And I think this is probably the end. Fitting that they go 4th down and out on the opening drive, 4th down and out to end the game. That's kind of been the story of the Lions season, is failed 4th downs and not being who they are anymore. And that, to me, that was the biggest takeaway maybe of all Sunday.
Yeah, their offense let them down, I guess, early in the game, kind of had a better second half, but it's the defense to me. I mean, listen, they've lost 2 straight in the same season for the first time since 2022 when they lost 5 straight, but probably not a coincidence. Detroit's defense have allowed now 27 plus in 5 straight, also the first time since 2022 they've done that. So to me, all the injuries are just coming back to them. And then looking at Pittsburgh, kind of just a fun look ahead. So Pittsburgh is at Cleveland next week. That line currently sitting at -4.5 for the Steelers with a total of 34.5. So one of the lower totals I believe we've seen this year. I'll have some stuff on that as well, but that is going to be some, and maybe it's, thinking about the fact there's no DK in the game because that's gone down about a point or two in the last hour. So I'm sure
that game may not matter also. If the Ravens
also,
lose Saturday night, then the Steelers might sit guys, and so that could play into it as well.
That is fair. All right, let's keep rolling along here. Jaguars, Broncos. So Jacksonville wins the game 34-20 as 3.5-point road dogs, total over 46.5. This was just a Jacksonville efficient domination and just Denver miscues, which doesn't always happen with Bo Nix, but he's thrown 4 touchdowns and no picks. He's had some really good games, but this one wasn't it. But I think the story overall has to be Jacksonville's offense. When you talk about Trevor Lawrence, 10 touchdowns, no turnovers his last 2 games, 14 touchdowns, no picks his last 4 games. I mean, he has just been absolutely red hot. But beyond that, red zone, 3rd down. Their last 2 or 3 games has been ridiculous. Last 2 games, there were 8 of 11 in the red zone. Then 3rd down today, 8 of 15. Last week, 4 of 9. Then 7 of 15. I mean, they're just on a real crazy run of efficiency right now. And again, 25 points or more in, it's 8 straight games. And they've scored 118 points in the last 3 games. I mean, right now, Jacksonville is as hot as can be. And next week, they are in Indy to face the Colts. So, I mean, other than the miscues from Denver and the red hot, white hot Jaguars in terms of their offense, what do you take from this one?
Yeah, it's crazy. You mentioned the 25-point stat. I have a bet lab system for once you do that 5 times in a row, you're supposed to be betting against that team. Well, they have been doing it for 3 more times since that trend is supposed to pop. So, yeah, look, last week, we gave Denver kudos. We said, okay, this is the team you're supposed to be. Bo Nix had the game he's supposed to have. You kind of let him rip it a little bit. Well, you let him rip, he's going to make some mistakes, and that's the other side of the coin that we saw today. He had a big fumble. He had an interception. It's 31-17, and it kind of just went sideways from there. As soon as Jacksonville got up by a bunch, that's when the Knicks fumble happened, then a field goal, then the interception, then turnover and downs, end of game. So to me, Knicks not being good enough was the story, and Trevor Lawrence being good enough was the story. So late downs really told the story. Denver not good enough. That's quarterback play, and Lawrence was fantastic. We gave Knicks his credit last week. Trevor Lawrence was under pressure all game this game. And that was part of the cap. I thought Denver was in good shape here because I thought they'd bring pressure. Well, they did. He got sacked 5 times, but he delivered under pressure time after time. He ran for a touchdown. He threw for 3 touchdowns, 279 yards, 0.3 EPA per play. That's not MVP numbers, but against this defense under that pressure, that's MVP type performance by Trevor Lawrence. He's not going to win it. Like you said, we're down to 2 guys, but he's 4th in odds now. Like we said last week, how it was kind of goofy that Bo Nix was suddenly 4th. Trevor Lawrence suddenly has kind of taken that spot there. for whatever
He's
that's
going
worth.
to get some votes. He should get some votes.
He probably, he'll make ballots, I would say, especially because they're in the race now for the 1 seed. And so, I thought Jacksonville, this is the win that I needed them to do. Like to go to Denver, who I still have some skepticism about, but it's in Denver playing for the 1 seed and win convincingly. Every time Denver made a push, Jacksonville responded. And not just with a big play, Denver got the big plays. They had 10 plays of 10 or more yards, 6 plays of 20 yards, 4 plays of 30 yards. Denver got the big plays. Jacksonville got consistent drives down the field. And every time Denver threatened, Jacksonville scored again. And that was really impressive to me. Jacksonville now 23% per The Athletic to be the 1 seed. So they still need help. They need to basically win out. That gets them to 41% because they still need a Denver loss and a New England loss to get there. So probably not going to happen, but there were some weird results already today. We almost got a Patriots loss tonight. So it's in the mix, certainly. At the other hand, they're not even division winners yet. If they don't go 2-0, they play Colts and then Titans. They're still about 62% to win the division, but we know the Texans are tough and going to be hot on their tails as well. Broncos, still the 1 seed for right now, even though they're now tied with the Patriots. They have the tiebreaker. They cannot lose that tiebreaker, but they're about 50% now to be the 1 seed, or just below, I think. They clinch if they win out, so they control their destiny. They go Chiefs on Christmas in Kansas City, but with heaven knows at quarterback, and then Chargers to close out. So not a devastating loss for Denver, big picture, but they've lost their margin for error. They have to do the thing because Denver also not a division champion yet. They're in the playoffs, but if they lose out, they probably fall as far as the 6th seed. The Chargers can still win and still win the division. And again, they play the Chargers in week 18. We didn't even look at this. That could be another one of our like standalone week 18 games. If Denver blows it on Christmas, Broncos Chargers is for a 1 seed, possibly, well, no longer the 1 seed probably for Denver, but something like 2 seed versus 6 seed, depending on where you end up. And that certainly is not what anyone thought from this Denver team, or frankly, the Chargers either. So certainly they still can get there. Denver can. But this closed the gap a lot between these two. And Jacksonville, I thought, really did what they needed to.
Yeah, when you talk about Denver and, let's just assume they bounce back. I mean, they're minus 12.5 in Kansas City on Christmas night with a total of 37.5. So basically, the odds makers are just telling you what they think the score is going to be in that game. So we'll see what type of Chiefs team shows up and how Denver does on the bounce back. But I still think with this game, the story is Jacksonville. 12-3 to their team total over, best mark in the league. 7-0 when that's on the road. They're 10-5 ATS, second best ATS start in franchise history. I mean, they are legitimately rolling. And I think the craziest part is their rush defense. They still haven't allowed any player to run for 75 yards against them. The Lions were on the list with 90 yards or less before Warren ran all over them today. But Jaguars rush defense, and that's me doing a little bit of a kiss them because it's been ridiculous this year. But again, 12 straight wins at home for Denver, snapped. All different types of streaks and this and that. And this, people might say this might be good for them, but we will see in Kansas City next week. All right, let's keep rolling here. So we're going to do an NFC playoff reset. So we're going to do Rams, Seahawks, Bears, Packers, and Philly, Washington very quickly to kind of just go through those 3 games. Let's start with Seattle wins 38-37. Rams actually cover the plus 1.5 on close, total over 42.5. So Rams did lead 30-14 in the fourth quarter, up 16. Darnold throws the interception with under 10 minutes left. Then Rams 3-and-out, Shaheed touchdown. Rams 3-and-out, Seattle 2-play touchdown. And then the most controversial 2-point conversion in the history, and we're tied. So basically, and there was just so many opportunities. Like, I think when you look at both Green Bay and Chicago and this game, at least 6 things probably had to go wrong for the Packers and the Rams to blow these games, and they did. So I think it's kind of tough to take forward something from this because I feel like I still believe. Now, I think there's Packers injuries kind of get in the way a little bit of what you believe in. But from a Rams standpoint, they were up 30-14 on what most people believe is the most complete team in the NFL. So at that point, I still feel good about what I saw. So what do you take from Rams Seahawks quickly, and then anything else going forward with both of them?
Yeah, I think pretty similar takeaway. I thought the Rams proved in that game that they are by far the number one offense in the league and that they are clearly the best team in the league.
Yeah, no
However,
Devontae too.
they also lost. So they lost a lot of ground. They lost a lot of Super Bowl equity because there's a huge difference from a bye week and a 1 seed and home games to suddenly going 5, maybe even 6 seeds still, depending on how things turn out here. Now, it's not dead. They can still get back to 1. But they need actually the Bears winning really impacted the 1 seed because the path for the Rams is very narrow now to how they get back to the 1 seed. I think the Niners have to beat the Bears next week, but then the Niners need to lose to the Seahawks, I believe, the following week. And I'm forgetting what else. Maybe the Seahawks need to lose to the Panthers. I think they all need to happen there's one specific outcome that I don't have in my notes here, but there are not a lot of outs anymore. Like the Rams need to win out and kind of have an inside straight draw, whatever is the version of that. But they're the team that I want to pick to win the Super Bowl, but the path just got a lot harder. So it's a weird double takeaway. They had 581 yards of offense in this game, 6.5 yards of play on an awesome Seattle defense on the road. How do you lose? 3 of 6 in the red zone. How many field goals do they keep settling for early in the game? Bad special teams. We gave up the kick touchdown. We know that one. They also missed the field goal. That probably puts it away. 23% win probability on the missed field goal. And then the Shaheed touchdown was worth 5 EPA as well. So those were huge swings. I personally thought the refs gave 6 points away for the Rams. The 2-point thing is baffling to me. You've heard a lot about that already. Early in the game, first touchdown that the Rams got taken off the board, I thought was a really weak penalty that the folks on TV kind of agreed with that as well. So that's 6 points in what became a 1-point loss in a classic game. Rarely do we get the game of the year hype that actually lives up to the game of the year. And now we have the Rams, like you said, they're the team that you feel better about coming out of this. We don't hate the Seahawks. They look pretty good too, doing what they had to. And they're suddenly the 1 seed. And they are going to be tough at home. It's going to be loud in Seattle if it stays that way. And they've got to get there. They got to win out still. But suddenly, to me, I had the Rams and Seattle 1 and 2. And I had them in that order and not 1A, 1B. The Rams clearly number 1. I still have that power ratings wise. But to me, what we saw is those two teams, I think, are even further separated from the field. And now more even with each other because Seattle is probably going to get home field advantage and the bye week. And the bye week is the best way to win a game in the playoffs is to not play a game in the playoffs. So just that alone is a big deal. I think if you could give me Rams Seahawks versus the field in the NFC or maybe even versus the field in the NFL, that's something I'd be interested in looking at right now. And that to me is the takeaway from the game.
Yeah, and of course, Seattle next week against the lovable underdogs. There's laying 7.5 on the road in Carolina. I'll just say this before we go to the next game. So Sam Darnold began his career 21-35 straight up. He is now 26-7 in his last 2 seasons, 30-10 in his last 40 starts since 2022. Most profitable quarterback on the money line in the NFL. So Darnold has taken a nice turn in his last 3 teams: Carolina, Minnesota, and now Seattle. All right. Green Bay and Chicago. So Chicago beats Green Bay. Shocking if you've been living under a rock. 22-16, covers -1.5 at home. Total under 44.5. Obviously, the Jordan Love injury, absolutely massive. But Malik Willis played very, very well. 9 of 11, 121 and a touchdown. Also, very Malik Willis-like, 10 carries for 44 yards. To me, 0.48 EPA per play for Malik, amazing. And a plus 20.3 completion percentage over expected. Just an unreal performance by him that shouldn't be overlooked because you might have to see him face the Ravens next week. But aside from that, what is the big takeaway other than the ridiculous comeback by the Bears?
Yeah, I mean, look, I live in Chicagoland. The Chicago area is absolutely buzzing today. Like this is for folks my age and younger, this is one of the greatest in your lifetime moments as a Bears fan. Like
That's fair.
folks coming up to me at church today who never ever even watched football, who are like, "Oh, I heard there was a big Bears game, so I watched it. Did you see the ending?" Yeah, I'm a football analyst. I saw the ending. It was pretty crazy. The Bears looked for all the world like they were going to blow this thing. For like 57 minutes, you have a home game favored as a 10-win team, and Jordan Love goes out. That is handing the game to you on a platter, and they're like, no, you take it. Oh, wait, 3 minutes left. Maybe we'll try now. So they get the field goal. They recover the onside. Beautiful, awesome onside kick. We get a touchdown to Jahdae Walker. I can't tell you anything about Jahdae Walker, except he'd played like 8 snaps before that, and he had an awesome celebration afterward. And then we get into overtime. And for all the good Malik Willis stuff that he did, I don't even know if it was his fault, but fumbled the final snap he took on 4th down. Bears get the ball, and then a couple of plays later, Caleb Williams throws a pass that, 5 dudes on the planet can throw into the wind, 60 yards in the air. DJ Moore is fast as anything, and he had to run so hard that when he came down with the ball, he was just cooked. Like, he was done in the end zone. He just dropped the ball to the side. He was like, I ain't get up to celebrate. Like, I just used the last gas in the tank. I'm done. We won. I'm out. Just an awesome moment for Bears fans. Awesome moment for Bears Island. I'll be honest, we started there at the beginning of the season, then went 0-2, and I was like, abort, we're out. Like, Bears Island is over. Suddenly now the division looking very good for the Bears. They are now clinched in the playoffs. Packers, I came out of this thinking, man, you're in serious trouble now. You got Baltimore, and then you got Minnesota. Detroit's breathing down your neck. Well, turns out Packers are not as much trouble anymore because Detroit is no longer breathing quite as much down their neck, and the Ravens no longer look quite as dangerous to them. I still think, given where the Packers are at, like, you can't have a funeral for everyone this week, but man, Tucker Kraft already out. Micah Parsons already out. Zach Tom is still hurt, their best offensive lineman. Jacobs gets hurt too in this game and was already questionable into it. We don't know where he's at. We don't know if Jordan Love will be able to play. I'm assuming Love will play again this season at some point. I think he seems relatively likely to play on Saturday. They still get in, as we said, win either game or Lions lose either game, they get in. I think they probably get in, but I don't know how you can have any faith in this team at this point. Not because of the way they blew this game. This was an awesome Matt LaFleur game. LaFleur, when he gets everything taken away, and Malik Willis, like, awesome. This was a game they deserved to win right up until they didn't. Credit for that, but I don't know how you can have any faith that this team, even if they get in, can go win 3 times on the road and then a Super Bowl. It's just, there are too many injuries. It's kind of become season from hell for Green Bay, and it all happened in the last 7 days between these 2 games. So I think the Packers probably have lost the war now as well, and the Bears suddenly looking like the 2 seed, so we'll see. Talk about how everything is wide open. Wide open's pretty good for the Bears, and the NFC suddenly feels a lot more open too if it's Seattle and Chicago at the top rather than like the Rams and the healthy Packers. That's a pretty big swing in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I just feel like Green Bay's ceiling just got lower, and that's kind of all you could really say. I mean, will they make the playoffs? Possibly at this point. And Malik Willis, if he's there, you know he's going to play decently well. I mean, it's a great backup for LaFleur, who seems to know exactly what to do with him in the offense. But Bears beat the Packers after trailing by 10-plus points in the 4th. Chicago had lost 20 straight versus Green Bay when trailing by 10-plus points at any point. And this is the stat that really blows you away, because this is telling you that we've crossed off some demons here, which is, for the first time since 1998, the Bears have covered consecutive home games versus the Packers. That's it. 1998. I mean, it's just unbelievable what this streak had looked like and where we are now. I do believe this victory and the turnaround, I mean, this could be a motivational move for Chicago, but we will see how that looks next week. All right. You have anything else here?
I was going to say, Cassandra in the comments, who I know is on here watching every week, says the Bears are still fraudulent. I don't know if I even disagree with that, but who's not fraudulent in the NFL?
Yeah, I was going to say, who cares? At this point, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Like, somebody's got to win stuff. So, yeah, speaking of fraudulent, the Eagles, I don't really need to say anything about the Eagles. I'm mad at them for one of the dumbest overs we've seen in a while, those weird 2-point conversions at the end. Just a very Eagles game at this point. I don't have a lot to add about it. That they kind of who we thought they were. Saquon finally broke a couple long ones. Did you have anything much from the Eagles game on Saturday?
No, win by 11, covers by 7 on the road, over 43.5. Like, Philly's going to win the same game every single time. So this is how Philly wins. I think it's just good to say they looked good even against a bad team and two teams against the Raiders as well. So moving forward, it's just nice to see, but they're the reigning champs. Like this isn't a shock to anyone, and they should look like this. They win the division. We'll see them in the playoffs. All right, let's get to some shorter recaps now. We got 3 games before. I'm just going to roll through some scores. So Carolina wins 23-20, covers +3 at home, total under 45.5. All 8 of Carolina's wins this season have come as underdogs. Their 8th win as an underdog is tied for the most by any team in the Super Bowl era, and they will have a chance to break that record next week at home against the Seahawks, getting 7.5. But I think the story here, more than Carolina, who is now also 7-0 against the spread off of a loss, is the Bucs. 1-6 in their last 7 games. They started 6-2. Just an absolute terrible collapse by Bowles and Baker. They've lost 7 straight against the spread, and in their last 3 losses, all coming against divisional opponents. So this was the stretch where you needed to go 2-1, right? Just to hold ground, make sure you're doing everything right. They should have beaten Atlanta. They were in great position multiple times to beat Carolina today, but they haven't lost 7 straight against the spread since 1982-83. Insane. And this is their first 7-game ATS losing streak in the same season in franchise history. Franchise history for Tampa Bay, and that's that 70s Bucks team, the Creamsicles that were the worst of the worst. So this Bucks collapse, I think, somebody's job has to roll with what's going on in Tampa Bay, especially if they don't figure out a way to get back to Carolina. Just absolutely terrible. And we've been talking about this for weeks. Baker playing absolute garbage. Like, he is last in completion percentage over expected since week 7, 32nd in success rate in that span. Just, he is playing so poorly, and it even looked a little bit better today, especially opening drive touchdown to Mike Evans. Like, we thought things were kind of in the right direction, but Carolina figures it out.
Yeah, we love the Evans touchdown. We bet that one. I know Raybon bet that one. A lot of us at Action enjoying Mike Evans to get the score. He had another shot later on that I think just bounced off of his hands. Otherwise, we might have cashed the 2 there. You mentioned Baker playing badly. He throws an interception in field goal range with 49 seconds left. It's a 3-point game. You are, admittedly, long field goal range, and it's not like the Buccaneers have any good special teams. But
McLaughlin's been good though. He could have hit it.
It's true. And Baker, I think it just had to have been miscommunication. And look, I understand that your receivers have all been hurt all season, so you're kind of trying to get things going again. But you can't take any chances. This is your season. This is the whole game, the whole season for you, and you are at least you are like a 5-yard gain away from a pretty good looking field goal for your team to tie the game, have a shot in overtime. I kind of don't take a ton away from the game because I just thought it was a very even game between two teams that I think are very even and not that good. So the game was close all the way. The stats are pretty close. Neither team hit 300 yards. So I was ready to be like, these offenses stink. No, not really. 14 of 26 on third down combined, both 43% success rate. I think that's just kind of a run heavy game and just a game that moved quickly, both about 5 yards of play. Very coin flippy. So, okay, Bryce Young, good job. 2 touchdowns, 191 yards. Not bad. That he probably outplayed Baker in this one. Well, you're going to have to do it again because in all likelihood, still week 18, if Carolina wins against Seattle next week and the Bucs lose at Miami, then the Panthers clinch. Okay, probably Carolina's not going to beat Seattle. So, something to keep in mind. My only real takeaway here, if the Bucs win big, if Miami, if Quinn Ewers is just awful again and Tampa Bay is way up at the half, if that game looks settled, Carolina's game doesn't matter anymore. Does Carolina pull their starters in the second half of that game if the Bucs are up big, or if Carolina is getting blown out by Seattle early on? Now the Bucs game doesn't matter anymore. So is that maybe a live betting opportunity if you spot that thing coming? Maybe you combine a few alts of a big Bucs win with a big Carolina loss, where something. Sorry, or a Carolina loss and a Bucks loss is the way you want to go. It's like, okay, you want both together basically, but there may be some live betting opportunities or some correlated parlay opportunities where the Week 17 outcomes probably aren't going to matter for these teams, but they start at the same time, so you're going to have to kind of keep an eye on it and go from there. But to me, I think we're probably still coming down to Week 18 and one of these teams playing for the home game in the playoffs, and probably still your odds-on favorite to be that final Sunday night game that we love to speculate so much about.
Yeah, that should be a low-scoring, ugly offensive game. Can't wait for that one. All right, let's keep going here. Bills-Browns. Buffalo wins the game 23-20. Cleveland covers the plus 10.5 on close at home. Total over 41.5. I mean, the whole story here is probably the early injury from Josh Allen. Hurts his foot, gets x-rays. Negative, obviously, looks like he's going to be fine and moving forward, but it impacted just kind of how this game went. They didn't play well. And Ian Hartitz tweeted this. I took it from him. Josh Allen's 7.1 fantasy points today were his fewest in a full game since his rookie year. And he just played terribly, even when he got back into the game. So from Buffalo's standpoint, usually the same deal. Don't play great on the road, play better at home. Cleveland's defense kind of disrupts a lot of good teams anyway. Miles 1 sack away after getting credited with a half. So that's definitely something to look forward to. And again, I mean, Bet Labs was on it today. A lot of people liked Cleveland, but double-digit home dogs to keep going well, 28-16 since 2020. So what do you make from Buffalo, Cleveland?
Yeah, my numbers really like Cleveland, and I just didn't have the heart to bet Shadir Sanders. But look, he outplayed by EPA against Josh Allen today. Allen was worse on EPA per play than Shadir Sanders. And I know he's playing with an injury, but that's what you got at this point of the season. And look, Shadir played with an injury too. He left for a little bit as well. So I had to note this game for us because I was concerned about the Bills already coming into this game. A lot of the DVOA and underlying metrics said this is just a very mid team, like a very league average type team for about the last 6 weeks. Well, this is not going to help. And certainly the Bills on the road have not been a good team since the start of 2023. Now the Bills have won 3 in a row, but they are 14-12 straight up on the road during this 3-year stretch that we continue to treat them like they are this bona fide inner circle Super Bowl contender. But guess what? The Bills are going to have to win 3 road games if they want to get to the Super Bowl. And here are the 14 wins. We've said some of these names before. Add Shadir Sanders to the list. Here's the teams the Bills are beating on the road. Shadir, Easton Stick, Sam Howell, Andy Dalton, Justin Fields, Joe Flacco, Geno Smith, Tua Tagovailoa twice, Aaron Rodgers twice at this age, and then Jared Goff, Patrick Mahomes, and Drake May, of course, last week. So we got a few good names on there, but man, they cannot win on the road. And when they do, it's because they're playing these terrible quarterbacks who, by the way, are not going to be the guys you face in the playoffs. They're going to have to win real tough games in the playoffs. And I think we kind of, by default, we know the AFC is open, and by default, we just keep kind of saying, well, you know, Josh Allen, probably no Lamar now, no Patrick Mahomes now. This got to be Allen's year. Well, Allen's got teammates, and Allen's not quite playing his MVP level. He was not that at all today, and his teammates are not playing at anything level. The Browns had like 50 more yards than the Bills today. The Browns outplayed the Bills in a lot of metrics, or at least played them pretty evenly, and that's the Browns, a team that's probably actively tanking at this point. That's not a good result for Buffalo. You got the win. Wins and losses don't matter that much for this team right now. They need Allen healthy, and they need to stop sucking because they are just not a good team right now. They're very average and not a team that you should be investing futures in by anything we've seen in the last 2 months.
Yeah, I got a big stop sign next to them. But, I mean, next week's interesting. They are 5-0 against the spread this year when facing teams above 500, and they are now 1-5 when facing teams below 500 against the spread. So, it's just basically who we've seen from Buffalo this year. You had mentioned home road. I'll just leave you with this. Road this year, Josh's passer rating, 87.7. At home, 119.2. Don't really need to say much more than that. Anything else here?
No.
All right. I mean, this one's for you, baby. Vikings, Giants. Vikings win at 16-13, cover 2.5 on the road on the close. Total under 41.5. JJ gets hurt. We see Brosmer. Maybe we see Brosmer against the Lions as well, but What else is the story here other than the wind and Jackson Dart throwing what? What he threw for like 33 yards in this game?
33 yards, yeah.
Crazy.
Jackson Dart threw for 33 yards. I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot that he got hurt. Oh, no, he didn't get hurt. He just threw for 33 yards. That's it. He got sacked 5 times. He threw 13 times for 33 yards. Minnesota's defense was awesome in this game. So I guess that's the story. These teams don't matter. The story that matters is injuries for both sides. Andrew Thomas leaves hurt for the Giants. Andrew Thomas has been, quite frankly, as good as any lineman in the league. And consistently with the Giants for years now, when he goes out, they crater. They completely fall apart. So keep an eye on. I didn't see how bad the injury is. Obviously, the Giants don't matter a lot, but we still have games to bet on with them. If he's hurt, I cannot bet on the Giants. That's how big of a deal he is to them. Like, think losing Penei Sewell or Trent Williams, somebody like that. That's what Andrew Thomas means. To the point that I would honestly consider shutting down Jackson Dart. If I'm the Giants and Andrew Thomas is out, I might just say, you know what? You've been in concussion protocol, buddy. We've seen enough. We'll try again next year. Let's just fold up shop, take a couple L's, and get a draft pick. Like, I think that's how important that is. On the other side, McCarthy's injury, hard to imagine that he's ready by Thursday on a short week Christmas game. So we're probably going to get Max Brosmer on Christmas, which, by the way, that's one game. We might get Josh Johnson in the early game and then Chris Oladikin in the evening game. These are your quarterbacks. These are your home quarterbacks on Christmas Day. Congrats, NFL, on the scheduling. Sorry about it happening that way. Pretty disastrous, honestly, if McCarthy is injured and unable to play. All Minnesota need to find out at this point is, okay, were those last 2 good games, are they real? Let's see it for a few more times. Let's see some more tape on the field. The only thing that they can't have is just no McCarthy. We already had that all last season. We've already had that multiple times this year. The Vikings need to find out, is this dude our starter next year or is he not? Do we have to go find a different solution? The worst possible answer is we don't know. We didn't get to see him on the field. So disastrous result for Minnesota if McCarthy can't go. They need him out there to find out. And it is a meaningful downgrade for the Vikings. They play the Lions and the Packers, who we know both need outcomes still to make the playoffs. So that part matters too. These injuries should matter a lot for how you're looking at these 2 teams, and it kind of has ripple effects in the future. So that's why I want to talk about that one.
Nothing like the Giants laying 1.5, having to go across the country without Andrew Thomas facing Max Crosby. Good luck with that. I'd be shocked if that 1.5 stuck, but right now, Giants laying 1.5. All right, I'm going to roll through some scores here, and then we will get to Monday Night Football. Chargers win 34-17 over the Cowboys, cover plus 1.5 on the road, total over 50.5. Dallas first half over is now 14-1 this year, and the over hits by 0.5 point in this game. Dallas eliminated, obviously, the night before, then losing this game. Chargers, they've won 4 straight. They are now 4-0 straight up as underdogs this year. Herbert, 18-12 as a dog in his career. Decent spot for them. Tennessee beats the Chiefs 26-9, covers +3 on close at home, total under 37.5. Gardner Minshew tears his ACL. So we get Chris Oladikin in this game and probably at home against the Broncos next week. This is KC's 8th loss as a favorite outright this year, which is tied for the most in the Super Bowl era. Tennessee, 5-2 against the spread since November 1st. And, of course, next week this comes into play where Tennessee has lost 11 consecutive games, both straight up and against the spread after an outright win. They are at home against the also up-and-coming Saints next week, which honestly could be a fun elimination game for the both of them. Both eliminated, they shouldn't care, but both teams playing really well lately, so that would be a fun one to watch. Bengals beat the Dolphins, the lowly Dolphins. This is a tough one. 45-21, cover -3.5 on the road, total over 48.5. Cincinnati goes 6 of 6 in the red zone. Burrow throws 4 touchdowns, 7 incompletions. He was just on fire in this one against a Miami secondary that just didn't feel like they wanted to be there. Mike McDaniel has coached 14 career games where the Dolphins are on short rest. They're 3-11 in those games, losing 8 straight outright. That is just terrible. And this probably says it all. McDaniel is now 16-25 against the spread in games with a spread of 4 or less. Basically, when it's a coin flip, they're pretty damn bad. And that's with a lot of games with Tua and some without. All right. Jets, Saints. Saints win the game 29-6, cover -6.5 on close. A lot of steam there before kickoff. Total under 39.5. This is the Jets' 15th straight game without an interception. No picks from Taysom or Shuck in this game. Longest streak since 1950. 15 straight without a pick. New Orleans now 0-12-3 first quarter money line, 2-13 first quarter ATS. Both worst in the NFL after a 3-3 tie at the end of the first. And New Orleans, like I said before, rolling. Third straight win, fourth straight cover. They've looked pretty well lately, and that's why Tyler Shuck's sitting second in Offensive Rookie of the Year. Atlanta, Arizona. Atlanta holds on 26-19, covers -2.5 on the road, total under 48.5. Atlanta wins and covers 2 straight, which is a really nice change for them since they are the big alternating win-loss team. Atlanta's pass rush, definitely the story. They get 2 sacks today. They've now got 50 sacks on the season, which is 5 shy of the franchise record. They had like 30 sacks in total all of last year. So that is a big upgrade for them. And Arizona, woof, their slide just continues. They're 1-12 straight up in their last 13 games. They've lost 7 in a row now. So just skidding down the stretch, probably worth seeing how many players start playing these last 2 weeks for them, or maybe if they start sitting out the McBrides and such. We will see. And then finally, an unreal close game. I mean, this almost went up about 7 or 8 spots in our rundown, but Houston survives 23-21 against the Raiders. Vegas covers the massive 14.5 point spread. The total goes over 39.5. Here's the stat. So since 2011, we've seen 113 games with a spread of 14 plus points. This is just the second where an underdog won or lost by 3 points or less and had more yards and rushing yards than their opponent. The other one, that Jaguars win against the Colts in Week 18 of 2021. So that is how, what's the word? This is how close this game was and how much better Vegas looked a lot of the time. I mean, Houston's offense was really sputtering a lot of this game. And I'll leave you with this. With the Raiders and Bengals covering today, teams off a shutout. Now 37-17 against the spread since 2015 and 7-0 this season. So interesting enough, the bounce back has been good there. All right. Now, before we get to Monday Night Football, if you'd like to tail some of the bets we're about to discuss, find the quick slip link in the podcast and video description, or visit actionnetwork.com/bet now. You can also look in the live YouTube chat if you're still hanging out with us, or even better, sign up for Action Pro. Action Pro users get real-time alerts as soon as experts like Stuck, BA, Chris Raybon track picks in the app. You'll also get real-time money percentages to see where the smart money is flowing and access to our NFL player prop projections and live prop projections during games, which is awesome to use. Powered by Sean Kerner. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro to get started and use promo code POD20 for $20 off an annual subscription. That's promo code POD20 for $20 off and actionnetwork.com/pro. I have been talking way too much. Monday Night Football, Brandon Anderson, 49ers, Colts, take it away.
I like the Colts. I teased this one on our Best Bets episode. I think this is the Phillip Rivers miracle of Christmas that we've been waiting for. Look, the Niners suddenly are live for the 1 seed, so they control their destiny. If they went out, Chicago, Seattle, they're the 1 seed. Pretty shocking. Season metrics don't help us a lot here because obviously the Colts are a very different looking team. The Niners, though, bottom 8 by defense on the season. Bottom 8 run and pass DVOA, not great. I actually have this line way off. Like, I think the Niners being a 5.5, 6 point favorites is just so far off where things ought to be. My numbers have the Colts still favored here. And to be clear, my numbers are very heavily roster oriented, not just outcome. So it's not like it's not factoring in, well, did you know Phillip Rivers is the quarterback? Now, yeah, I'm aware that Phillip Rivers is playing. I'm aware that the corners are out. That's all factoring in. DeForest Buckner is not out. He's back. And I think that is a big swing for the Colts. He, I think, is their best defender, at least most important defender. The corners are still out, but I'm not sure the Niners can really hurt those corners as much as they should be able to. Ricky Pearsall is out, and they haven't had great receivers to be able to hurt corners downfield. So I think the Colts defense maybe can hang a little bit. Top 5 this season against under center plays and motion plays. That's a lot of what San Francisco does as much as anyone, motion especially. And Colts are number 1 against inside run defensively. The Niners are 31st on EPA per play on outside runs. So I think the Colts can limit the run game. Niners have not run it that well anyways, and kind of keep it in check. Maybe get some field goals, teeing you up for your bets here. But on the other side, I think the big thing here is that, look, we saw Rivers in the offense move the ball and get some points against Seattle. All right, how about the Niners instead, who are missing all of their best guys on defense? We've talked all year long. There's just not a lot of talent there, including no pass rush. They are not getting after the quarterback. This is a very different experience for Philip Rivers. Now, a whole week to practice and settle in rather than being retired for half of the week, but also no pass rush. So he's going to actually have some time to get some zip on the ball, maybe get the guys open. I think Jonathan Taylor should be able to run a little bit on this defense. Tyler Warren back is a big boon as well, both blocking and as a tight end, receiving downfield. I think Colts' success this year is not all about Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has been the part of the success of the Colts being number 2 on the season still in success rate, number 1 in explosives. That's Shane Steichen. That scheme, that's blocking. It's Jonathan Taylor. It's the whole process. And quite frankly, I'm not convinced Daniel Jones is that much of an upgrade, if at all an upgrade, on what Philip Rivers can be for this team. Maybe I'll look dumb for that. Rivers is still 44 and a grandpa. Maybe we're just kind of waiting for that to happen. But Niners, 30th success rate on defense, bottom 10 explosives. I think they can get beaten defensively in this game. I think they can get beaten outright. So I'm just going straight to the money line. I don't want a cover here. I think if you like the Niners, you should bet alts. I think maybe Rivers turns into a pumpkin and this all ends very badly. If you like San Fran, I get it. I like the Colts, and I'm going to bet them to win. Plus 245 on the money line, or best you can find. I really believe that this is the spot that we get the story we all want. Philip Rivers comes back to the NFL 5 years away, goes to Monday night. We all watch, and he gets the win. I think it's happening.
Well, if the Colts win this game, it makes the playoff picture much more interesting heading into Week 17. A loss here, I believe, solidifies a few things, so we will see how that goes. Since Purdy came back from injury and replacing Mack, they're 4-0 straight up and against the spread, winning by double digits in each game. They've looked good. But I agree that Buckner back does kind of lead to the bets that I like in this one. I'm seeing some field goals. I'm looking at the vision, and I'm seeing field goals. And the way I'm attacking this is I kind of like San Francisco field goals because I am with you. I don't have complete faith in San Francisco's offense. I do like the addition back of Buckner. I understand the corners are out, but there also is no Pearsall. I think there's some evening out there. So I took Pinheiro over 1.5 field goals, Pinheiro over 7.5 kick points. I like both teams to hit a 33-plus yarder. Indoors also helps with that one. And this one I think is actually really interesting. Over 1.5 field goals second half is plus 110, which to me actually feels kind of interesting in a close game. So I'm all field going. That is the direction I'm headed in this one. Any thoughts on that or anything else with this one?
Yeah, I think the field goals make sense here. I think we're going to get some scores, but maybe, you love a kicker in fantasy if they're going to move the ball, but maybe stall when they get there. So I think the Niners are going to move the ball. I think we're going to get points both ways. So that makes sense. I honestly almost came in here with an escalator of my bet on Colts playoff ticket. The problem is the rest of the AFC did not really help out today. I thought Jacksonville might lose. Texans looked like they might lose for a bit. Instead, the Chargers, I thought the Chargers could lose to the Cowboys. They were underdogs. All those teams won. So Indy is still not out, though. I think the market is basically counting them dead, and that's what we're seeing in the line, too. By the athletic odds, if the Colts went out, they're still 86% to make the playoffs, which I don't think we're really crediting them for. Now, they got to beat the Niners, Jaguars, and Texans, so maybe that's the reason. It's not going to be easy, but I think that they're alive. If they do that, 3-0, they basically need one loss from either the Chargers, Jaguars, or Texans in these last couple of weeks. And then they're in suddenly. And who knows? In this wild AFC, we keep saying, who's the team in the AFC? Maybe could it possibly be the Colts? It sounds crazy, but the odds are going to reflect it being crazy as well. The Athletic has the Colts right now only 3% to make the playoffs. So I haven't seen new playoff odds because obviously the AFC just got shaken up as we hit record here. But I probably need something like 20-1 or longer to nibble a playoff ticket. I haven't seen a number for it, But this is not the last we're talking about the Colts tonight. We're getting to the hot read. I will be on Colts again next week.
Yeah, if you're rooting for chaos next week, root for the Colts money line in this one. Again, if you want to tell some of these Monday Night Football bets, make sure to look for the quick slip in the podcast and video description, or go to actionnetwork.com/bet now. We talked about this earlier. No best bets episode next week, so we are going to give you some more hot read action. BA, what else are you doing next week?
Yeah, I just teed it up. Give me the Colts. Colts +7 against the Jaguars. If I like the Colts on Monday night, and it hasn't happened yet, if I like the value there, if I like them as long underdogs, I have to like them next week as well, especially at +7. Again, my numbers might take a beating and need a lot of readjusting after Monday night. But right now, I have the Colts favored in this matchup also against Jacksonville, even after moving Jacksonville up in my metrics after a good performance. And look, let's start here. The Colts have covered 3 of 21 against Jacksonville. So not exactly the spot I like to back Indianapolis. And I will say I don't like the matchup as much as Sunday night. Jacksonville's defense, way different than San Francisco, way better. The run defense, you talked about that. If they control Jonathan Taylor, suddenly it's a lot more on Rivers, and Jacksonville has a lot more pass rush as well. So it's definitely not as soft of a matchup offensively for them. I'm still not totally sold on Jacksonville's offense, though. They're running very poorly. They're not going to run on Indianapolis here. And I think, again, Buckner's return is huge. Jacksonville's O-line is not good. And I think Buckner and Latu, some of those guys can get after the quarterback. And we saw Sauce Gardner listed as questionable and probably out for this week. But that tells me maybe next week he actually is able to come back. Like, he could be in the mix here if they win Monday night and are still in the mix as well. And then we had this stat a while back. Teams that visit Denver are now 0-7 ATS the following week. We added to that number this weekend as well. I just think it is a sell high spot on Jacksonville after a big win. They're so red hot. It's the team you don't want to bet against, but sometimes that's exactly why you have to. So Colts +7. The money line is +275. It's going to be a lot tougher on the money line. To me, that's probably more of a cover the number at the full touchdown. And again, I'm going to play before Monday night, and yes, it's clearly correlated because the Colts might be out and Rivers might be a pumpkin again. So if you don't like my Monday night cap, you should like this one even less. I like it, so I'm going to trust my instinct and go for both of them.
Yeah, I was talking on the favorites earlier to Kendra Middleton, who is obviously a massive Jaguars fan, and I said, ooh, Colts Jags next week. I kind of like the 7. She said, can you at least give me 5 minutes to enjoy the Denver win? So I agree with you. What's your next pick?
I'm going to go over 51.5, Cardinals and Bengals. Obviously, both teams already eliminated, but man, if you're in your fantasy Super Bowl, I hope you got guys in this game because man, we're going to see Trey McBride against like the worst tight end defense in history. We're going to see runners. We're going to see passes. I would lean Cardinals with the full 7 in this one. That line feels pretty high. Cardinals have only lost by more than a touchdown 4 times this season. Lots of close losses. But really, to me, this is running back last week's hot read. We took a Cardinals over. We got 45.5. We ended up with the whole field goal of CLV. And man, nobody cares because our listeners care. But out there in the rest of the world, this wasn't even close to going over on where the line ended. I thought we had a brutal beat. I thought that was an over all the way today, that Cardinals game. In that game, which we ended up getting hooked on the 45.5, they ended up 45. There was a missed extra point. There were 2 missed field goals. And there were 6 made field goals. So we had 8 field goal attempts. We kept settling for field goals in the red zone. They were moving the ball all game. Probably I thought that game should have been more like 60 points. I think this one might be too. So Bengals defense, terrible. You don't need me to tell you that. They have now played shootout games with the following totals: 58, 61, 64, 68, 73, 77, and 89 points in Bengals games, including one of those was today, last in the NFL in points per game allowed, over 31 a game entering the weekend. Cardinals defense has fallen apart too. Last 7 Cardinals games, almost 55 points a game on the total, 5 of 7 at 51 or more. And again, same cap we set for the one last week. Arizona with Brissett, fastest tempo in the league, pass heaviest team in the league. So we're going to get passing from both sides here. We're going to have plenty of chances for both to score. I think they're going to. I don't see any way this stays below 54. That's the last kind of key number on totals. It's already rising quickly. This is also, to me, like a full-scale escalator. Grab a 60, grab a 70. What's the highest number you can find at a book? We might get there. Kind of remember the old Mexico City Rams and Chiefs game from a while back now. I feel like we could get like the homeless man's version of that game here and just like obliterate fantasy lineups with like a 51-49 game or something ridiculous, and just give me the over on Cardinals Bengals.
Yeah, I was gonna say this over/under has jumped into the elevator and hit the roof because it's going up a lot right now. All right, so no best bets this week. We got Christmas Saturday, we got Thursday games. I'm surprised the NFL didn't throw a game on Wednesday because this slate's absolutely ridiculous. But give us some more bets. We need more bets. Throw it to us.
Yeah, so tough to give you too much on Christmas. We mentioned Josh Johnson probably in the first one, Max Rosemer, Chris Oladikin. Couple of thoughts. Chiefs plus 12.5 is disgusting. But that's like a touchdown off of how I'd price that game. Look, we saw Chiefs Broncos last year, week 18, and the Chiefs lost by 1,000-0. So it's going to be hard to bet that one, but my number is going to be begging me on the Chiefs in that game. Otherwise, St. Brown has absolutely shredded Brian Flores' defense. So that smells like a Christmas escalator play to me, and we know that going to need to go to him often. So not too much else on Christmas. I do like on Saturday, hot read bonus, Texans money line plus 100 at the Chargers. Season long metrics pretty even on these teams. Offenses 21st and 22nd. Houston a little better on defense, definitely better on special teams. We know about the Chargers, not exactly home field advantage. To me, though, the key here is that offenses are going in opposite directions here. Texans offense, not great yet. Certainly not great today. Do not bet the Texans off of today, but the pass offense is improving. Jesse Minter is going to be a tough test defensively. The Chargers are playing a while, but a little bit better shape there. With the Chargers, though, don't be thrown off by Chargers beating up on Dallas offensively. Everybody does that to Dallas. Previous 6 games to that, the Chargers were at bottom 5 offense by DVOA, bottom 10 run and pass. Their line is in shambles and now is up against Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, and I just don't see a lot of way for the Chargers to score much here. I'd lean under 40.5, 40, wherever the line is at. Chargers, 4 of the last 6, 41 or below. Houston now 10 games at 42 or below. So if it is low scoring, I'm going to take the defense I like more. And frankly, probably the offense I like more right now as well. So I think it's a good spot for the Texans. D'Amico, 16% ROI as a money line underdog. And then here's a good stat for you. Since 2010, teams that won by 17 or more as underdogs of 7 or less. That would be the Chargers here. 68, 121, and 3 ATS the following game. So 36%. Wow. I like the Texans. Plus 100. It's an even odds money line. If you got a plus 1.5 out there and you want to grab that, I'm good with that one as well. I think they probably end up favored here. And look, if Houston wins and the Colts beat the Jaguars, our pick we just gave out, the Texans can win the division still with the head-to-head win and even get as far as the 3 or 2 seed still. So if you like what I'm smelling here, if you like the Colts to be live in these games, and you like Houston here, you might need to be thinking futures. And I don't mean just division futures either. Houston is really good. And if there's suddenly the 2 or the 3 seed, that might actually be like your AFC favorite by the time we get to the playoffs in a couple of weeks. So that's the pick I love on Saturday. The night game Saturday, too, no lines yet. It's Ravens-Packers, and we don't really know who's going to be playing. Hopefully Lamar, hopefully Love. We don't know. I think even if they play, this just screams like playoff atmosphere. Cold, run heavy, defense forward. I'm looking to grab an under, wherever line I can find here, because, man, if we get Tyler Huntley and Malik Willis, you can't set the total low enough for me. Those guys are combined 12-3 to the under when the total is below 44 in their career. So 80% to the under. If it's those two, it's going to be dropping quickly. So I would be willing to grab an under as soon as it posts. Anything north of 44. Otherwise, watch for Huntley and Willis. If we get both of those guys, mineshaft season all the way, like under all the way down on Huntley versus Willis on Saturday night. And then one last note, we gave out the look ahead, Packers-Browns as a money line parlay. We ended up not being able to play it yet as Jordan Love got hurt, so they pulled that one off the board. But keep an eye out there as well. Again, we've said this a few times. If the Ravens lose to the Packers, the Steelers game doesn't matter anymore. And so maybe the Browns win that one, and inevitably you're going to get a mispriced money line the way that goes. So if you think the Packers can beat the Ravens, factoring in a Browns money line parlay into that, again, no price yet because we don't have lines for this game. But that Saturday night game gets very weird and funky and very interesting now. So I'm looking under and maybe a parlay with the Browns and kind of see if the Ravens just kind of finally pull the plug on the season. That might be it, and maybe the Browns get one over too.
Yeah, for what it's worth, and again, we have no idea who's actually starting in this game. DraftKings did post a line within the last 10 or 15 minutes, but it is who the heck knows. It's Green Bay -2.5 at 40.5. Obviously, any news with the quarterbacks in probably moves the line one direction, but that is what they're currently sitting on right now, for what it's worth.
I don't mind under 40.5. I may not run to grab a 40.5 just because it could go back up if we get some positive quarterback news. Yeah, I think it was 45.5 this morning. So it's hard to know what that means. That might be a hedge, or it might also be that books know a little bit more than we do and already are assuming either or both these quarterbacks don't go. So definitely one to keep an eye on. If anything, I might be more aggressive to bet alts and kind of skip. But if it ends up at 40, I might just go real low. And because even if Love or Lamar or both play, who knows if they finish the game with those injuries. And maybe you end up seeing Huntley and Willis anyway. So, look, Huntley and Willis are fine quarterbacks, but it's going to mean a lot of running the football and a lot of just low-scoring, long drives. So keep an eye out, watch for the under, and if you get a good price out there, you see a stray number at your book, definitely pull the trigger.
And the most important thing is both teams really, really need the game. All right. That'll do it here on the Action Hour podcast for our NFL Week 16 recap episode presented by DraftKings. Give us a like on the YouTube video. We always appreciate it. If you haven't yet, check out our new AI Quick Slip bot on X. Just tag Playbook at Playbook. Tell it to grab whatever bet you're looking for, and it'll create a Quick Slip link for you in a matter of seconds on X. Super, super easy. We'll be back for Action Island for Monday Night Football's game right here between the Niners and the Colts on Action Network's YouTube page, as well as more NFL best bets from Brandon, the six-pack from Raybon and Stuck, anytime touchdowns, and more on the podcast feed for next week. Thank you for listening. Good luck with all your bets. Enjoy your week, everybody.